power art. The coin, a small round piece of metal, is one of the most important characters in this long story. Coins made trade simple. They allowed empires to rise, ideas to travel. This essay tells the epic origin story of coin minting, from the first stamped lumps of 600 BCE to the high-tech mints of today. Ancient Lydia, classical Greece, Rome, Imperial China, the great Islamic caliphates, medieval European workshops, industrial age factories. We will see how a simple idea changed the world. The history of the coin is the history of us. Long before the first coin was ever struck, people still needed to trade. Imagine a world without money. If you were a farmer with a surplus of grain, you had to find someone who needed grain and had something you wanted, like a good pair of shoes. This system is called barter. It worked for very small communities where everyone knew each other. But barter had big problems. It was inefficient. What if the shoemaker did not need any grain? You would have to find a third person, perhaps a potter who wanted grain and whose pots the shoemaker desired. This was slow, clumsy, and held back economic growth. To solve this problem, societies began to use commodity money. This was a system where people agreed that certain items had a consistent value. These items were often useful in their own right, but they also served as a medium of exchange. In ancient agricultural societies, cattle were a common form of wealth. The Latin word for money, pecunia, actually comes from pecus, the word for cattle. In other parts of the world, people use blocks of salt. As trade networks grew more complex, people sought forms of money that were more portable, durable, and divisible. Cowrie shells in Africa, cowrie shells in Asia, cowrie shells in the Pacific Islands. They were hard to find. They were light to carry. They were small enough for everyday transactions. Beads made from stone, beads made from glass, also served as money in many cultures. These were steps in the right direction. They were units of account, but they still lacked one key feature. They were not standardized by a central authority. Their value could change from one village to the next, and there was no guarantee of their quality. The final step before true coinage was the use of raw metal. Gold, silver, and copper were ideal for trade. They were rare, so they held their value. They did not spoil like grain or salt. They could be melted down and reformed, and most importantly, divided into smaller pieces and weighed. In the ancient Near East, merchants would carry around small scales to weigh out bits of silver for each transaction. This was a huge improvement, but it was still cumbersome. Each time you wanted to buy something, you had to weigh the metal and test its purity. A better way was needed. The Great Leap Forward happened around 600 BCE in a kingdom called Lydia. One resource was electrum, an alloy of gold and silver that washed down in the rivers. Instead of weighing messy bits of electrum for every trade, why not create standardized pieces? They made small, bean-shaped lumps of electrum, each with a guaranteed weight and value. The ancient Greeks did not just adopt the coin, they perfected it as a miniature art form. Each of the hundreds of Greek city-states, or poleis, minted its own unique currency. These coins were a source of civic pride, acting like tiny metal flags. Athens produced the famous owl tetradrachm, Athena on one side and her sacred owl on the other. Trusted for purity and weight, they became an international currency across the Mediterranean. Syracuse created masterpieces, decadrachms with intricate portraits of Arethusa, surrounded by dolphins. As Rome rose, the silver denarius became the backbone of an empire, paying legions and building roads, aqueducts, and cities. Roman minting prized scale and efficiency. Coins became a tool of political propaganda. From Caesar onward, living rulers' portraits traveled daily, from Britain to Egypt, in the palm of every hand. Section 5. A Parallel Path. The Casting Tradition of Ancient China. In China, money evolved from tools, bronze spades and knives used as exchange. Over time, they became stylized and bore inscriptions for origin and value. By the 4th century BCE, round coins emerged. But unlike the West, Chinese coins were cast. Molds formed dozens at once. Cooled trees of coins were broken, finished, and polished. Qin Shi Huang standardized round coins with a square hole, symbolizing heaven and earth, and enabling strings of cash. This form endured for over 2,000 years. Remarkable stability in contrast to changing Western styles. Section 6. The rise of calligraphy, coinage in the Islamic Golden Age. Early rulers copied neighbors until Abd al-Malik's reform around 696 CE. He introduced purely Islamic coinage, no images, only powerful Arabic inscriptions. Gold dinars and silver dirhams, struck to high standards, traveled the known world. Text proclaimed faith and authority. Coins carried ruler, mint, and date, creating a precise historical record. These coins crossed the Silk Road, the Sahara, and into Viking hordes, dominant currencies of the medieval world. With Rome's collapse, Europe's monetary system fragmented, local mints, crude pennies, and rampant debasement. Bad money drives out good, trust eroded, inflation soared, trade suffered. Stronger states restored order. Venice's ducat and Florence's florin became trusted international gold. The Renaissance fused art and science. Great artists cut dies. The screw press delivered sharp, round, consistent coins. Collars standardized diameter and added edge lettering or reading, deterring clipping and counterfeiting. Centralized nation-states built powerful mints, symbols of sovereignty issuing unified currencies. The Spanish piece of 8 became the first global currency, accepted across Europe, the Americas, and Asia. Art and technology together created money both beautiful and secure. The evolution of the coin mirrors the evolution of society itself. The Industrial Revolution changed everything, and coin minting was no exception. In 1788, Matthew Boulton and James Watt built the first steam-powered coining press in Birmingham. Steam brought speed, power, and precision, perfectly uniform coins at unprecedented rates. Even strikes, sharp relief, exact diameters, ideal for a machine age. Vending machines. Public scales began to appear in the late 19th century. The United States Mint was established in 1792 to foster commerce and economic independence. From horsepower to steam, the mint grew, branching to San Francisco for gold rush coinage. As economies scaled, token coinage of copper, nickel, and bronze paved the way to modern fiat. Today's automated mints can produce millions of coins per day. Precision at scale. Blanks are punched, softened, cleaned, and polished, then struck with over 60 tons of force. Cameras inspect, machines count, and bags seal for secure distribution. Beyond reading, bimetallic rings and cores, microprinting, latent images, and laser-engraved signatures deter fakes. Even as payments go digital, coins remain vital for small transactions. Reliable, durable, anonymous, and accessible. Collecting surges with commemoratives and bullion. Programs like the 50 state quarters inspire millions. Perhaps future coins merge physical and digital, or live on as cherished artifacts.